You are being consumed. Right now, at this very moment, someone is extracting value from you. To your employer, you are a unit of production. To your family, you are a source of stability. To your friends, you are a dispenser of validation, emotional support, or entertainment. Everyone around you is operating on a hidden balance sheet, calculating what they can take from you and how little they can give in return. And you? You are likely letting them do it. You have been socialized to believe that generosity is a virtue, that selflessness is noble, and that asking for what you are owed is selfish. You are drowning in a sea of obligations, paying a tax on your own existence called guilt. Most people will die without ever realizing that their life was not their own. It was merely a fuel source for the ambitions of others. But that ends today. Welcome to the doctrine of social scalping. If the title of this book makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the sound of your programming fighting back. You have been trained to view human interaction through the lens of morality, good versus bad, kind versus mean. This book invites you to view interaction through the only lens that actually matters: cause and effect, investment and return. In the financial markets, a scalper is a trader who enters the market for seconds or minutes, extracts a small, guaranteed profit, and exits before the tide turns against them. They do not marry their positions. They do not get emotional about the stock. They capitalize on inefficiency. Social scalping is the application of this precision to human dynamics. It is the art of entering an interaction, identifying the value, whether that is status, connection, information, or leverage, securing it, and moving on. It is not about cruelty. Cruelty is inefficient. Cruelty creates enemies. Social scalping is about neutrality. It is about stripping away the heavy, suffocating weight of emotional debt and seeing people for what they are in the context of your life: assets, liabilities, or noise. Over the course of this audiobook, we are going to dismantle the guilt mechanisms that have kept you subservient. We are going to perform a forensic audit of your relationships. You will learn how to manufacture leverage, how to use lost leaders to create debt in others, and how to exit interactions with more energy than you entered them with. This is not a guide on how to be a villain. Villains are driven by ego and malice. This is a guide on how to be an operator. An operator is driven by purpose and logic. An operator understands that you cannot help anyone else if you have already been cannibalized by the demands of the world. To build an empire, to achieve true freedom, you must first reclaim the resources that belong to you: your time, your attention, and your favor. You are about to learn a new language, a language where no is a complete sentence, where empathy is a strategic tool rather than a reflex, and where your own advancement is the primary metric of success. Before we begin this transformation, I have a small request. We are building a community of operators here. If you are ready to stop being used and start taking control, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the premier audiobooks. If you have been listening this far, consider hitting that notification bell. It's a small transaction. You give us a click, we give you the keys to power. Now, take a breath. Put aside your preconceived notions of right and wrong. Clear your mind of the need to be liked. Being liked is a vanity metric. Being effective is the only reality. The market is open. It is time to start collecting what is yours. Chapter 1. The myth of altruism. Let us begin by dissecting a lie you have been told since the moment you were old enough to understand language. Imagine a scenario. You are walking down the street and you see a man drop a $20 bill. You pick it up, tap him on the shoulder, and hand it back. He smiles, thanks you profusely, and walks away. You continue on your path, feeling a warm glow in your chest. You tell yourself, I did the right thing. I am a good person. But let's pause the tape. Let's look at the data, not the sentiment. Why did you return the money? Was it truly for him? You don't know him. He could be a saint, or he could be a monster. His financial well-being is mathematically irrelevant to your survival. If you had kept the money, your life would be tangibly better by exactly $20. By returning it, your financial assets remained static, yet you exerted energy to intervene. So, why did you do it? You did it for the chemical release in your own brain. You did it to avoid the friction of guilt. You did it to affirm your self-image as a moral agent. You purchased that warm glow for the price of $20. It was a transaction. You traded currency for dopamine and identity reinforcement. There is no such thing as a selfless act.
If you are going to master the art of social scalping, this is the first and most painful pill you must swallow. Altruism is a myth. It is a fairy tale invented to grease the gears of society, to keep the collective functioning smoothly while individuals sacrifice their own potential. We are biological machines designed for survival, and survival is inherently selfish. Every breath you take is oxygen you are denying someone else. Every calorie you consume is energy seized from the environment. To exist is to consume. To thrive is to consume more than your competitors. When you understand this, the world shifts into focus. You stop looking at relationships as vague, mystical bonds and start seeing them as what they really are: markets. The hidden ledger. Every interaction you have ever had, from the deepest romantic love to a casual nod at a barista, is recorded on a hidden ledger. Most people move through life financially illiterate in the social sense. They give their time, their emotional bandwidth, and their loyalty without ever checking the price tag. They believe that if they just give enough, the universe will balance the books. They subscribe to the karma philosophy, an invisible credit score that they hope will one day pay out. But the universe is indifferent. It does not keep score. You must keep the score. Look at your closest relationships. Why do you have friends? Is it because you just love them? No. You have friends because they provide a service. Maybe they provide entertainment, distracting you from the drudgery of your work. Maybe they provide validation, nodding along when you complain about your boss, making you feel heard and justified. Maybe they provide status. Being seen with them raises your social stock.
If a friend stopped providing these services, if they became boring, critical, and embarrassing, how long would that friendship last? You might hang on for a while out of nostalgia, which is just another form of emotional hoarding, but eventually you would cut them loose. Why? Because the ROI, the return on interaction, turned negative. This does not make you cold. It makes you human. The difference between you and the rest of the herd is that they lie to themselves about this process. They pretend the breakup is a tragedy. You will recognize it as a market correction. The danger of free. The most dangerous word in the English language is free. When someone offers you a favor from the kindness of their heart, your alarm bells should be deafening. Nothing is free. If the cost is not stated up front, it means the cost is variable, and it will be collected later, usually at a massive premium. Think about the colleague who offers to cover your shift when you are sick, waving away your thanks. Don't worry about it, they say. We're a team. They have just opened a tab. They haven't asked for money. They have purchased a future obligation from you. 3 months later, when they need you to lie for them or cover a massive error or take on a project you hate, that free favor will be the leverage they use to coerce you. Remember when I helped you? They will imply. And because you are programmed to reciprocate, you will pay 1,000 times the value of that original shift. Social scalping is about rejecting the vague debt of free. It is about quantifying value in real time. When you understand that everyone is operating on a ledger, you stop being a victim of hidden costs. You realize that the nice guy at work isn't nice, he is investing. He is buying goodwill cheap in hopes of cashing it out for a promotion later. The partner who constantly sacrifices their own needs for yours isn't a saint. They are building a dependency architecture so you can never leave them. They are purchasing security with the currency of submission. Once you see the transaction, you can control the transaction. Redefining the user. Society uses the term using people as the ultimate insult. He's just using you, they whisper. Let's strip the stigma away. What does it mean to use something? It means to utilize it for a function. You use a hammer to drive a nail. You use a car to travel a distance. You use a doctor to heal a wound. Utility is the basis of value. If you are useless, you are discarded. To be used is actually the highest compliment because it means you have value. It means you are a resource. The problem is not being used. The problem is being used inefficiently or being used without compensation. The social scalper accepts that we are all tools in each other's lives. The goal is not to escape this reality, but to become the hand that holds the tool rather than the tool itself. When you approach an interaction, you must ask yourself 3 questions immediately. What does this person want from me? What do I want from them? What is the exchange rate? If you cannot answer these questions, you are the mark. You are the tourist at the poker table. Most people walk into a conversation hoping to be liked. The scalper walks in looking for the inefficiency. Where is the gap between what this person needs and what they have? Let's look at an example of empathy through the lens of scalping. Traditional empathy says, my friend is sad. I should feel sad with them and comfort them because I care. Scalping analysis says, my ally is functioning at suboptimal levels due to emotional distress. This reduces their utility to me. I need to invest 30 minutes of active listening and validation to stabilize their mood. This investment will not only restore their function, but creates a surplus of gratitude I can leverage next week when I need an introduction to their network. The action is the same. You listen, you comfort, you are a good friend. But the internal narrative is different. One is a passive reaction to emotion. The other is an active management of resources. The result? The scalper doesn't get burnt out. The empathetic person absorbs the trauma of others until they break. They take on the weight of the world because they think it's their duty. They end up exhausted, resentful, and empty. The scalper creates a firewall. You perform the actions of empathy because they yield results, but you do not internalize the cost. You are a clinician. A surgeon does not cry when he cuts you open. If he did, his hand would shake. He remains detached so he can be effective. You must learn to view your social circle with the same clinical detachment, the liberation of truth. This perspective often scares people initially. It feels cold, it feels robotic. But in practice, it is the most liberating shift you will ever make. Think of how much time you waste wondering if people really like you. Think of the anxiety you feel when you think you've offended someone. Think of the guilt that gnaws at you when you say no. All of that vanishes when you embrace the transactional nature of humanity. If a relationship is a transaction, then liking you is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the deal good? Are both parties getting value? If yes, the relationship continues. If no, it ends. There is no drama, there is only data. You stop taking things personally. When someone rejects you, it isn't a judgment on your soul. It's simply a market signal that your price was too high or your product wasn't what they needed at that moment. You don't cry over it. You adjust your pitch or you find a new buyer. When you remove the myth of altruism, you also remove the power of manipulation. Manipulators thrive on your belief in goodness. They use phrases like, "After all I've done for you," or "I thought we were friends." These are guilt traps. They are trying to force you to honor a contract you never signed. The scalper hears, "I thought we were friends," and translates it to, "I am attempting to cash in a loyalty coupon that has expired." You can then respond with calm logic rather than emotional panic. You can look at the ledger and say, "I acknowledge our past exchanges, but this current request exceeds the value of our arrangement." You won't say it in those words, of course. We will get to the tactics of language in later chapters, but that will be your internal reality. The scalper's baseline. So, here is your baseline for the rest of this journey. You are a business. Your time is your inventory. Your attention is your currency. Your energy is your capital. Every person you meet is a potential client, partner, or competitor. There are no free lunches. There are no selfless acts. There is only the market. You have spent your life giving away your inventory for free because you wanted to be seen as good. You have bankrupted yourself emotionally to please people who would replace you in a week. Stop it. Close the charity department of your life. Rebrand yourself. From this moment on, nothing leaves your warehouse without a receipt. You are open for business, but you are no longer open for exploitation. You are going to learn how to spot the value in people who look worthless to others. You are going to learn how to extract that value with surgical precision. And most importantly, you are going to learn how to do it without a shred of the guilt that holds the rest of the world back. They call it using people. We call it resource optimization. The myth is dead. The market is open. Chapter 2. The Guilt Tax. Imagine for a moment that every time you walked out of your front door, a stranger reached into your pocket and took 40% of your cash. You didn't owe them this money, they didn't provide a service, they simply took it because they felt entitled to it, and you let them take it because you were afraid of making a scene. You would call this robbery. You would call it insanity. You would do everything in your power to stop it. Yet you do this every single day with your emotional energy. This is the guilt tax. It is the surcharge you pay for existing on your own terms. It is the invisible friction that slows down every decision, every negotiation, and every move you make toward freedom. You want to say no to a request, but you say yes because of the tax. You want to leave a draining relationship, but you stay because of the tax. You want to demand a raise, but you stay silent because of the tax. Guilt is not a moral compass. That is what they told you to keep you compliant. Guilt is a control mechanism. It is a leash installed by society, parents, teachers, and partners to ensure that you remain a predictable, serviceable resource for the collective. If you want to become a social scalper, you must stop paying this tax. You must commit tax evasion on a spiritual level. The anatomy of the shackle. Let's analyze what guilt actually is. Biologically, guilt is a fear response. In our primitive history, being rejected by the tribe meant death. If you upset the group, you were exiled to the wilderness to be eaten by wolves. Guilt was the warning system that said, "Careful, you are violating the social contract. Get back in line." But you are not living in a cave. You are not at risk of being eaten by wolves. You are living in a modern, atomized society where the tribe is largely irrelevant to your survival. Today, guilt is a glitch. It is outdated software running on modern hardware. When you feel guilty for not helping a friend move house, your brain is firing the same panic signals it would fire if you had murdered a village elder. It is a disproportionate response. You are suffering grand consequences for minor infractions. The people around you, the collectors of this tax, rely on this glitch. They know that if they can trigger your guilt, they can bypass your logic. Think of the last time someone asked you for a favor you didn't want to do. Maybe it was a coworker asking you to cover a project. Your logical brain said, "No, this adds no value to me. It costs me time. It stresses me out." But then they looked at you with sad eyes. They sighed. They said, "I'm just so overwhelmed right now." Bam, the tax collector arrived. Suddenly, logic didn't matter. You felt a twist in your gut. You felt the ancient fear of being bad. So you paid the tax. You said, "Okay, I'll do it." You bought relief from that gut feeling, but the cost was your evening, your energy, and your self-respect. The difference between malice and math. The biggest barrier to removing the guilt tax is the fear that without it, you will become a monster. You worry that if you stop feeling guilty, you will start hurting people. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the operator mindset. We must distinguish between malice and math. Malice is hurting someone because you enjoy it. It is kicking a dog, insulting a waiter, or stealing from the elderly. That is pathology. That is weakness. A social scalper has no use for malice because malice creates enemies, and enemies are expensive. Math, on the other hand, is simply the calculation of capacity. If you have 10 units of energy and you need 8 to build your empire, you only have 2 left to give away. If someone asks for 5, the math says no. When you say no to that request, the other person might feel hurt. They might feel disappointed, but you did not inflict that hurt. Their disappointment is their reaction to a market reality. The supply of your time did not meet their demand. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your boundaries. Read that again. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your boundaries. If a store closes at 9 p.m. and a customer bangs on the door at 9:05 p.m. screaming, does the store manager feel guilty? No. He points to the sign. He understands that the customer's anger is the customer's problem, not the store's problem. You must become the store manager of your life. When you decline a wedding invitation, when you break up with a partner who is dragging you down, when you fire a client who doesn't pay enough, you are not being malicious. You are simply closing the shop because the math doesn't work. Weaponized fragility. The most sophisticated tax collectors in your life are the ones who weaponize fragility. These are the people who present themselves as helpless, the eternal victims, the ones who are always in a crisis. They don't demand your help with a gun, they demand it with tears. They have learned that your empathy is a weakness they can exploit. They know that you pride yourself on being a good person, so they hold your self-image hostage. I don't know what I'd do without you, they say. Translation: I am placing the burden of my survival on your shoulders so I don't have to carry it myself. You're the only one who understands me, they whisper. Translation: you are the only one foolish enough to tolerate my behavior without charging me for it. This is predatory. Make no mistake, the victim is the predator here. They are feeding on your time and energy like a vampire, and because they appear weak, you feel guilty for cutting them off. You feel like you are kicking someone when they are down, but you must realize they are down because they refuse to stand up, and they refuse to stand up because you keep carrying them. By paying the guilt tax, you are subsidizing their incompetence. You are enabling their weakness. You are not helping them. You are keeping them crippled because it makes you feel necessary. The scalper looks at the victim and sees a liability, a black hole. You cannot fill a black hole. You can only fall into it. The only winning move is to step away. And when the guilt rises, you recognize it for what it is, the dying scream of a parasite losing its host, the audit of conscience. How do we begin to stop paying? We start with an audit. I want you to look at the last week of your life. I want you to identify 3 moments where you did something you didn't want to do. Maybe you listened to a friend complain about the same ex-boyfriend for the 100th time. Maybe you went to a dinner with in-laws who disrespect you. Maybe you agreed to a deadline that ruined your weekend. Now calculate the cost. Time cost? How many hours did you lose? Financial cost? Did you spend money on gas, food, or gifts? Opportunity cost? What could you have been doing instead? Could you have been sleeping, working on your side hustle, reading this book? Emotional cost? How much resentment did you feel afterwards? Sum it up. That is the tax you paid. Now ask the crucial question, what did I buy with that tax?
Did the friends stop complaining? No. Did the in-laws start respecting you? No. Did the boss appreciate your sacrifice? Probably not, he just expects it now. You bought nothing. You burned your resources for 0 return. You set your money on fire to keep someone else warm, and they didn't even say thank you. This audit should make you angry. Anger is good. Anger is a mobilizing emotion. Guilt is a paralyzing emotion. Use the anger to burn away the guilt, reframing selfishness. To stop paying the guilt tax, you must reclaim the word selfish. Society uses selfish as a slur. We need to polish it up and wear it like a badge of honor. Selfishness is the immune system of the soul. Your body is selfish. If you are starving, your body will shut down non-essential functions to keep your heart and brain alive. It doesn't apologize for this. It prioritizes the core. If you do not prioritize your core, your mental health, your finances, your goals, you will collapse. And once you collapse, you are useless to everyone. The most selfish people are often the most effective. Because they protect their energy, they have high-quality energy to give when they choose to. When a scalper decides to help, they help with massive impact because they are operating from a place of abundance, not depletion. The selfless person is running on fumes. Their help is weak, resentful, and half-hearted. You must adopt the philosophy of rational egoism. This states that your primary moral obligation is to your own happiness and achievement. If you are happy and successful, you become a net positive to the world. If you are miserable and drained, you become a burden. Therefore, refusing to pay the guilt tax is actually the most responsible thing you can do.
Technique: the so what drill. Here is a practical tool to dismantle guilt in real time. It is called the so what drill. When you are about to set a boundary, your brain will flood you with catastrophic predictions. If I don't go to the party, they will think I'm boring. If I don't loan him the money, he will be mad. If I leave this job, they will struggle to replace me. Answer every single one of these thoughts with, so what? They will think I'm boring. So what? Does their opinion pay your rent? Does their opinion build your legacy? Let them think you're boring. You are busy building an empire. He will be mad. So what? Is his anger lethal? Will you dissolve if he frowns? Let him be mad. He will get over it. Or he won't. Either way, your bank account stays full. They will struggle to replace me. So what? Is it your company? Do you own the equity? If not, their staffing issues are a management problem, not a you problem. Force your brain to play the scenario out to the end. You will realize that the catastrophe is usually just a minor, rigorous social moment. The world will not end. The sky will not fall. People respect those who do not pay the tax. Think about the people you respect most. Are they the ones who apologize constantly? The ones who scramble to please everyone? No. You respect the person who says no with a flat face. You respect the person who values their time too much to waste it. Unconsciously, we value things that are scarce. If your time is available to everyone who asks, it is cheap. It is abundant. It has low market value. When you stop paying the guilt tax, you create artificial scarcity. You signal to the market, my time is expensive, my favor is rare. If you want it, you must earn it. The liberation. Removing the guilt tax is like taking off a weighted vest you have worn for 20 years. Suddenly, you can run. Suddenly, you have extra hours in the day. Suddenly, you have mental clarity because you aren't constantly processing the emotional needs of others. You will lose people during this process. The parasites will detach when the food source dries up. The manipulators will get angry when their buttons stop working. Let them go. This is the cost of doing business. You are shedding dead weight. You are clearing the deck for the high-value assets we will discuss in the next chapter. You cannot scalp the market if you are bankrupting yourself to pay a tax that doesn't exist. Tear up the bill. Stop the payments. Keep your resources. You are going to need them. Chapter 3. The Audit of Souls. You are running a business that is bleeding capital. If you were a CEO and your warehouse was filled with rotting inventory, broken machinery, and employees who stole from the register, you would shut down operations immediately. You would fire the staff. You would liquidate the stock. You would restructure. Yet you look at your social circle, your human capital, and you allow the rot to spread. You surround yourself with people who doubt you, distract you, and drain you.
You hold on to relationships that expired 10 years ago because of nostalgia. You invest your most limited resources, time and emotion, into people who offer zero return on investment. To become a social scalper, you must stop viewing your friends and acquaintances as people. You must view them as positions in a portfolio. Just like a stock market portfolio, your social portfolio requires active management. You cannot simply buy and hold forever. Markets change, value fluctuates. A blue-chip friend from high school might be a penny stock liability today. It is time to conduct the audit of souls. This is a cold, dispassionate review of every single person who currently has access to you. We are going to appraise their value, categorize them, and decide their fate. The 3 categories of human capital. In the world of the operator, there are no best friends, buddies, or frenemies. There are only 3 categories of human existence relative to your life: assets, liabilities, noise. Every person you know fits into one of these boxes. If you do not categorize them, they will categorize themselves, usually to your detriment. Category 1. The assets. An asset is a person who adds tangible or intangible value to your life. When you interact with an asset, you leave the interaction with more than you entered with. Assets come in different forms. The battery. They provide emotional energy. They are optimistic, supportive, and ambitious. After seeing them, you feel ready to conquer the world. Their ROI is motivation. The key. They provide access. They know people you need to know. They can open doors to jobs, social circles, or opportunities that are otherwise locked. Their ROI is leverage. The oracle. They provide wisdom. They are smarter than you in specific areas. They mentor you, challenge your bad ideas, and force you to level up. Their ROI is competence. The rock. They provide stability. They are low maintenance and high loyalty. They will answer the call at 3 a.m. They will help you move without complaining too much.
If you end up in jail or the hospital, they are the one phone call. Their ROI is security. Assets are rare. In a typical life, less than 5% of the people you know are true assets. These are the only people who deserve your loyalty. These are the only people worth investing in. Category 2. The liabilities. A liability is a person who costs you. They operate in a deficit. When you interact with them, your net worth, emotionally, financially, or socially, goes down. Liabilities are insidious because they often masquerade as friends in need. The anchor. They are addicted to their own failure. They hate their job, their partner, and their life, but refuse to change. They want you to sit in the mud with them because your success makes them feel insecure. They suddenly sabotage your dreams with realistic advice. The siren. They're fun, but dangerous. They encourage your worst habits. They're the ones who pressure you to skip the gym, to drink on a Tuesday, to spend money you don't have. They are fun in the moment, but the bill always comes due. The vampire. They are in a perpetual state of crisis. Every week is a new drama. They need your advice, your money, your time. They treat you like an unpaid therapist. They never ask how you are. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can resume their monologue of misery. The competitor. They smile to your face but sharpen their knives when you turn your back. They gossip about you. They keep score. They secretly hope you fail. Liabilities must be liquidated. There is no middle ground. You cannot fix a liability. You can only cut them loose. Category 3. The noise. This is the largest category. The noise consists of the neutral majority. These are your coworkers, your neighbors, the casual acquaintances you see at parties, the old classmates you keep on Facebook. They do not help you, but they do not actively harm you. They are simply there. The danger of the noise is not malice, it is volume. If you treat the noise like assets, if you give them your prime time, your deep emotional energy, or your best focus, you are wasting inventory. Noise should be managed with politeness and distance. They are the background extras in the movie of your life. You do not give the extras a speaking role. The appraisal method. How do you determine who is who? You run the Saturday night test. Imagine it is Saturday night. You have had a brutal week. You have one free evening to recharge. You get a text from person X. They want to hang out. What is your immediate visceral reaction? If you feel a spark of excitement and relief, asset. If you feel a sense of dread, obligation, or exhaustion, liability. If you feel indifference, I guess I could go, but I'd rather watch TV, noise. Your body knows the truth before your brain does. Your brain tries to rationalize, but we've been friends since 3rd grade, but she's going through a hard time. Your gut tells you the math. Listen to the gut. The sunk cost fallacy in relationships. Why do we keep liabilities around? Because of the sunk cost fallacy. In economics, a sunk cost is money that has already been spent and cannot be recovered. A rational actor ignores sunk costs when making future decisions. If you spent millions building a factory, but the factory loses money every day, the rational move is to close it. The millions are gone regardless. In relationships, we say, I can't cut them off. We have 10 years of history. History is not value. History is just time that has passed. If you bought a carton of milk 10 years ago, you wouldn't drink it today just because you've had it a long time. It's spoiled. It will make you sick. Many of your historic friendships are spoiled milk. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago. If you are growing, you are changing. If your friends are not growing at the same pace, you will outgrow them. This is not a tragedy. It is evolution. Staying loyal to a version of yourself that no longer exists is a form of self-betrayal. The liquidation process, the purge. Once you have identified your liabilities, you must remove them. This terrifies people. They imagine dramatic confrontations, screaming matches, and tears. That is amateur hour. An operator does not create drama. Drama is a liability. We use the soft demotion. You do not need to call your friend and say, you are a toxic liability and I am terminating our friendship. That creates an enemy. Instead, you simply adjust their access settings. Reduce frequency. If you used to see them once a week, move it to once a month, then once a quarter. Reduce duration. If you used to hang out for 5 hours, cut it to 1 hour over coffee. Always have a hard stop time pre-planned. Reduce depth. Stop sharing your dreams, your fears, and your secrets. Keep the conversation surface level. Talk about the weather, sports, or pop culture. Become boring to them. When you starve a fire of oxygen, it burns out. When you starve a liability of attention, they will drift away to find a new host. They will think it was their idea to stop hanging out with you. This is the perfect clean exit. Managing the noise. With the noise, your goal is benevolent efficiency. You want to remain on good terms because you never know when a noise might become an asset or a useful contact, but you must not overinvest. Use scripted interactions. Have a set of polite, standard responses for text messages. Hey, great to hear from you. I'm swamped with work right now, but hope you're doing well. This is polite. It acknowledges them, but it closes the door on a resource drain. It puts them in the holding pattern without costing you energy. The asset strategy. Double down. Here is the most important part of the audit. When you clear out the liabilities and manage the noise, you create a vacuum. You suddenly have free time. You have mental bandwidth. You must reinvest this capital into your assets. Most people neglect their best friends because their high-maintenance friends demand all the attention. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. In social scalping, we replace the wheel. Identify your top 3 assets. Reach out to them this week. Offer value to them. Hey, I saw this article and thought of you. I'm planning a dinner with some high-level people. I want you there. Feed the relationships that feed you. Create a feedback loop of success. When you surround yourself exclusively with assets, your growth accelerates exponentially.
You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are assets, you become an asset. The vacancy sign. Some of you are panicking. You are thinking, if I cut out all the liabilities and noise, I'll have nobody left. Good. Solitude is better than contamination. It is better to sit alone in an empty room than to sit at a table full of people who are poisoning your food. When you create space, you put up a vacancy sign. You signal to the universe that you are open for high-value business. You cannot attract high-level operators if your schedule is clogged with losers. High-value people smell desperation and they smell baggage. If you are surrounded by drama, they will avoid you. By clearing your portfolio, you are preparing for the upgrades. The practical audit. Action step. Here is your homework. You cannot do this in your head. You must see the data. Get a piece of paper. Scroll through your text messages and your recent calls. Write down the names of the last 20 people you interacted with. Next to each name, put an A, asset, L, liability, or N, noise. Be ruthless, no maybes. If you hesitate, they are probably noise. If you wince, they are a liability. Now look at the ratio. If your list is 80% liabilities, you are in a state of emergency. You are emotionally bankrupt. You need to start the soft demotion protocol immediately. If your list is 80% noise, you are stagnant. You are safe, but you are not growing. You need to start hunting for assets. If your list is mostly assets, well, then you probably wouldn't need this book. But you're here, which means you know there is dead weight to cut. The scalper's promise. This audit is not a one-time event. It is a quarterly review. People change. An asset can become a liability if they develop a drug addiction or a victim mindset. A noise can become an asset if they launch a successful company. You must constantly monitor the ticker tape of your social circle. Never apologize for curation. A museum curator does not apologize for removing a bad painting to make room for a masterpiece. You are the curator of your life. The walls are limited. The space is finite. Hang only the best. Burn the rest. Chapter 4. The currency of favor. Walk into a supermarket and you will often see a smiling employee offering you a free sample of cheese or a piece of chocolate. You take it. It tastes good. You smile back. And then a strange pressure builds in your chest. You look at the price tag of the full block of cheese. You don't really need it. It's overpriced. But you just ate their sample. You feel a subtle, nagging weight of obligation, so you put the block in your cart. You just got scalped. The supermarket gave you 10 cents worth of product and extracted $10 from your wallet. They didn't use force, they used biology. They triggered the law of reciprocity. This is the engine of the favor economy. If you want to move from being a passive participant in society to an active operator, you must master this economy. You must understand that favors are not acts of kindness. They are financial instruments. They are deposits made into a bank account that you can and must withdraw from later. The biological debt. To understand why this works, we have to look at the hardware. Human beings are social primates. For 200,000 years, our survival depended on cooperation.
If a hunter killed a mammoth and shared the meat with you, you were biologically hardwired to remember that debt. If you didn't reciprocate when you had meat, the tribe would label you a parasite and leave you to die. This wiring is still active today. It is deep in your limbic system. When someone does something for you, no matter how small, your brain creates a tension. It creates a psychological itch that says, I am in debt. I am vulnerable. I must balance the scales. Most people rush to scratch that itch immediately. They say thank you profusely. They try to return the favor instantly to get back to zero. They are uncomfortable with debt. The social scalper loves debt. The scalper's goal is not to be debt-free. It is to be the creditor.
You want as many people as possible walking around with a subconscious feeling that they owe you. You want to hold the mortgage on their peace of mind. The strategy of the loss leader. In retail, a loss leader is a product sold at a loss to attract customers. A store might sell milk for $1, losing 50 cents on every carton just to get you inside so you buy the high-margin cereal and eggs. In social scalping, we use behavioral loss leaders. These are low-cost, high-visibility actions that trigger the reciprocity reflex in others without costing you significant resources. You are investing pennies to buy dollars. What does a social loss leader look like? The coffee buy. Buying a colleague a $5 coffee is the cheapest leverage you can buy. It is casual, it is disarming, and it creates a disproportionate sense of he's a good guy. The introduction. Connecting two people in your network via email takes you 30 seconds.
To them, it looks like a career-changing favor. You have just created two debtors for the price of one email. The active listen. This is the most undervalued currency. Most people are desperate to be heard. If you put your phone away, look someone in the eye, and let them talk for 20 minutes without interrupting, they will bond to you. They will feel understood. You have invested nothing but silence, yet they feel you have given them a gift. The key to the loss leader is asymmetry. You want to give things that are cheap for you, but valuable to them. If you are an expert in Excel, fixing someone's spreadsheet takes you 2 minutes. To them, you just saved their entire afternoon. The value gap is massive. You input 2 minutes of effort, you extract a favor worth hours of their time later. That is the scalp. The binary nature of obligation. Here is a secret about the human brain. It is terrible at calculating the magnitude of debt. It operates on a binary switch. Owe, don't owe. If I lend you a pen and you lend me your car, those are obviously different values, but the emotional trigger of I owe him one is surprisingly similar. This means you can trade up. You can perform a series of small, low-effort favors to establish the owe status and then cash that status in for a significant request. Let's say you want a promotion. For 3 months, you act as a giver. You bring donuts. You help the secretary with the printer. You listen to your boss's boring stories about golf. You are flooding the market with low-cost currency. You are building a massive surplus of goodwill. When the time comes to ask for the promotion, or the raise, or the flexible hours, you are not asking as a beggar. You are asking as a creditor collecting on a balance that everyone knows exists, even if it's never spoken aloud. If you had done nothing for them, your request would be an annoyance. Because you have preloaded the relationship with favors, your request feels like a fair exchange. In reality, you are trading donuts for a salary increase. The ROI is infinite. The art of the deposit. How you give the favor matters as much as the favor itself. If you make it look like a transaction, the magic breaks. If you say, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, that is a contract. Contracts are cold. Contracts trigger defense mechanisms. People put their guard up. The scalper makes the favor look like a gift. You must be casual. You must be dismissive of your own effort. Don't worry about it. It was on my way. Happy to help. These phrases are sedatives. They put the target's logical brain to sleep so their emotional brain can absorb the debt. If you make a big deal out of the favor, I worked so hard on this for you, the target feels pressured. They feel burdened. They might even resent you. But if you shrug it off, they are left with the pure feeling of gratitude. And gratitude is the soil in which leverage grows. Timing the withdrawal. You have built the debt. Now, when do you cash it in? This brings us to the concept of gratitude decay. Gratitude is a perishable good. It has a half-life. The moment you do a favor for someone, their gratitude is at its peak. 5 minutes later, it is still high. A week later, it is dropped by half. A month later, they barely remember it. A year later, they think they did it themselves.
However, for the giver, you, the memory works in reverse. You remember the favor you did forever. You think, I helped him last year, he still owes me. He doesn't think that. To him, that is ancient history. This creates a valuation gap. You think you are owed, he thinks you are even. This is where relationships turn sour. To scalp effectively, you must understand the timeline. You have two options. Cash in fast, ask for your return favor while the emotion is still fresh. Hey, glad I could help with that report. By the way, could you introduce me to that client you mentioned? The proximity links the two events. Refresh the debt. If you are playing the long game, you must periodically remind them of the value you provide without being obnoxious. You don't say, remember when I helped you? You simply continue to provide small maintenance favors to keep the account active. The Ben Franklin effect, the reverse scalp. Now, let's flip the script. There is a counterintuitive psychological phenomenon known as the Ben Franklin effect. Benjamin Franklin, a master social operator, discovered that he could win over his enemies not by doing favors for them, but by asking them to do a favor for him. He asked a rival legislator to lend him a rare book. The rival did it. Afterwards, the rival became much friendlier to Franklin. Why? Cognitive dissonance. The rival's brain had to justify the action. Why did I lend a precious book to Franklin? I don't like him. That doesn't make sense.
I only lend books to people I like, therefore, I must like Franklin. This is the reverse scalp. You can actually make people more loyal to you by extracting small value from them. When someone invests in you, they become stakeholders in your success. If you ask a mentor for advice, they want you to succeed because your success proves their advice was good. If you ask a colleague to help you move a desk, they feel a subtle bond of camaraderie. We work together. The trick is the size of the ask. It must be small enough to be granted easily, but significant enough to require effort. Asking for advice is the perfect reverse scalp. It strokes their ego, you are admitting they are smart, and it forces them to invest time in your problem. Once they have invested, they are psychologically committed to you. Defending your ledger. Finally, you must learn to defend yourself against other scalpers. Now that you know how the game is played, you will see it everywhere. You will see the salesperson offering you a free consultation. You will see the friend who buys you a drink right before asking to crash on your couch. How do you accept a favor without accepting the debt? You perform an immediate settlement. If someone buys you a coffee, buy them a muffin immediately. I got the coffee, they say. Great, I'll get the snacks, you reply. Boom, the transaction is closed. The ledger is zero. You have stripped the favor of its leverage power. You enjoyed the coffee, but you removed the obligation. If a coworker offers to help you with a task and you suspect they want leverage, decline politely.
Thanks, I appreciate the offer, but I need to wrap this up myself to understand the process. You are closing the door on their deposit. You are saying, I do not accept your currency. This is how you stay sovereign. You choose who you are in debt to. You only accept debt from assets, as defined in the previous chapter, because you trust their currency. You never accept debt from liabilities. The Scalper's Ledger. Your homework for this chapter is to start tracking the flow of currency. You don't need a spreadsheet, but you need mental awareness. Who owes you? Who do you owe? If you are walking around owing everyone because you are always asking for help and never giving it, you are in a weak position. You are a dependent. If you are walking around with everyone owing you, you are a kingpin. You have stored energy in the people around you, ready to be harvested when the time is right. Stop giving away your favors for free. Stop doing things just to be nice. Do things because they are deposits. Be generous, yes. Be helpful, absolutely. But be aware. Every smile, every coffee, every introduction is a coin. Make sure you are getting your change. Chapter 5. The Mirror and the Mask. Just be yourself. This is the most common and the most destructive piece of advice given in the history of human interaction. It is the mantra of the mediocre. It is the slogan of those who believe the world owes them acceptance regardless of their presentation. If you just be yourself,
You are static. You are a fixed object in a fluid world. You are demanding that every person you meet adjust their frequency to match yours. That is arrogance, and it is inefficient. If you are loud and aggressive, being yourself will alienate quiet, thoughtful people. If you are analytical and cold, being yourself will repel emotional, creative types. By rigidly adhering to a single personality, you are voluntarily closing yourself off from 80% of the available opportunities in the market. The social scalper does not be himself. The scalper is whoever the situation requires him to be. This is not about being fake. Fake implies a lie. This is about being adaptive. It is about having a user interface that is compatible with the person you are trying to influence. In this chapter, we will master the art of the chameleon. We will learn how to diagnose the psychological needs of your target and construct a mask that reflects their deepest desires back at them. When they look at you, they will not see a stranger. They will see the person they have been waiting to meet. The physics of resistance. When two people meet, there is friction, resistance. They don't know you, they don't trust you, their evolutionary guard is up. They are scanning you for threats, for incompatibility, for boredom. Your goal is to reduce that friction to zero. If you push against them with your own ego, you create heat. If you disagree with their worldview, if you challenge their taste, if you dominate the conversation with your own interests, you are increasing resistance. To bypass the firewall, you must become a mirror. A mirror has no ego. A mirror does not argue. A mirror simply reflects what is in front of it. And what is the one thing everyone loves to look at? Themselves. When you mirror someone, you are sending a subconscious signal. I am like you. We are the same tribe. You are safe with me. Level 1. Physiological mirroring. This is the baseline. You should already know this, but most people are too absorbed in their own heads to practice it. Observe the target. Are they leaning forward? You lean forward. Are they speaking slowly and quietly? You drop your volume and slow your cadence. Are they using specific words? If they call it a project, do not call it a job. Call it a project. If you are a high-energy, fast-talking New Yorker meeting a slow-talking, relaxed Texan and you do not adjust your speed, you will terrify him. He will perceive you as aggressive and untrustworthy. You must downshift. You must match his rhythm. If you are a relaxed introvert meeting a high-strung Type A CEO and you stay relaxed, he will perceive you as lazy or slow. You must upshift. You must inject urgency into your tone. This is not acting. This is calibration. It is tuning your radio to catch their signal. Level 2. The diagnosis of hunger. Physiological mirroring is just the surface. To truly scalp an interaction, you must mirror their soul. You must identify their core hunger. Every human being is starving for something. Usually, it is the thing they are not getting enough of in their daily life. There are 3 main hungers. 1. The hunger for validation, the unappreciated. These people feel invisible. They work hard but get no credit. They feel like nobody understands their genius or their struggle. The mask you wear is the admirer. Your strategy? You become the audience. You are fascinated by them. You ask deep questions about their work. You say things like, "I can't believe you pulled that off. That's incredible." You give them the spotlight they crave. Result? They will become addicted to you because you are the only source of the drug, validation, they can find. 2. The hunger for authority, the insecure leader. These people are obsessed with status. They need to feel like the smartest, most powerful person in the room. They're often terrified of being exposed as frauds. The mask you wear? The disciple. Your strategy? You lower your status. You ask for their advice. You let them teach you. You do not compete with them. You stroke their ego. You make them feel like the king. Result: they will keep you around as a courtier.
They will protect you because your presence makes them feel big. 3. The hunger for excitement, the bored. These people are trapped in a routine. They are bored with their spouse, their job, and their life. They crave novelty. The mask you wear, the catalyst. Your strategy? You are the source of energy. You are unpredictable. You bring the fun. You are the one who says, let's go to this new place, or let's try this crazy idea. Result: they will latch on to you because you make them feel alive. The diagnostic phase. How do you know which hunger they have? You listen to their complaints. People always tell you what they are starving for. You just have to decode the complaint. My boss is an idiot. He doesn't listen to my ideas. Hunger for validation. They want to be told their ideas are good. These young kids don't respect the way things work. Hunger for authority. They want to be respected as an elder or expert. Every weekend is the same, just watching Netflix. Hunger for excitement. They want adventure.
Once you diagnose the hunger, you simply feed it. You supply the supply that meets their demand. Level 3. Strategic vulnerability. Now we enter the advanced tier. This is the counterintuitive move that separates the masters from the amateurs. Most people try to impress others by showing off their strengths. I went to Harvard. I drive a Porsche. I know the mayor. This often backfires. It triggers envy. It triggers skepticism. It puts the other person on the defensive because they feel they are in a competition. The social scalper uses strategic vulnerability. You use a calculated weakness to disarm the target. When you admit a flaw or a struggle, 3 things happen. You become human. You stop being a threat. You trigger their empathy, the favor currency we discussed in Chapter 4. You invoke the reciprocity of disclosure. If you share a secret, they feel compelled to share a secret. And when they share a secret, you own them. The technique, the small confession. You do not dump your trauma on them. That is repulsive. You offer a curated, relatable imperfection. Scenario: you are meeting a high-powered potential client. Amateur move. I am the best consultant in the field. I never fail. Client thinks, yeah, right, arrogant. Operator move. Honestly, I was nervous about this meeting. I really respect what you've built here, and I didn't want to mess it up. Boom. The dynamic shifts. The client relaxes. He thinks he respects me. He's honest. He's humble. You have lowered his shield. Now, when you pitch your services, he is listening to a person, not a sales robot. Scenario: you are on a date. Amateur move. Trying to look perfect, rich, and unbothered. Operator move. I'm actually terrible at these things. I always feel like I'm going to spill my drink. She laughs. She relaxes. She admits, me too. I was so anxious. Now you have a bond. You are conspirators in awkwardness. You have created intimacy through a calculated display of weakness. The Barnum effect in conversation. There is a psychological phenomenon called the Barnum effect, or Forer effect, used by horoscopes and psychics. It involves making statements that sound specific to a person but are actually vague enough to apply to anyone. You can use this to create the illusion of deep connection. You look at the target and say, you know, you give off this vibe of being really tough and organized on the outside, but I get the sense that you're actually quite creative and maybe a bit restricted by your current situation. This statement applies to 99% of the corporate population. Everyone thinks they are secretly creative and misunderstood, but when you say it, they will look at you with wide eyes. Oh my God, they will say, you really see me. You haven't seen anything. You have held up a generic mirror, but they project their own reality onto it. They will fill in the blanks. They will start telling you why they feel restricted. They will give you the data you need to manipulate the relationship, all because they think you are a soulmate who gets it. The danger of the mask.
There is a risk in this chapter. The risk is that you forget who is under the mask. Method actors sometimes lose their minds because they stay in character too long.
If you spend all day being the admirer for your boss, the catalyst for your friends, and the disciple for your mentor, you can feel hollowed out. You can feel like a ghost. You must maintain a sanctuary. You need a place or a person where the mask comes off. Ideally, this is your home, or it is a specific asset friend from Chapter 3 who knows the real you. You must have a space where you can be your true, unedited self, arrogant, tired, weird, whatever you are. If you do not have a sanctuary, the masks will fuse to your face. You will become a composite of other people's needs. You will lose your own drive. The operator wears the mask as a tool, like a welding helmet. You wear it to do the work. You take it off when the shift is over. Consistency versus coherence. People worry, if I act differently with everyone, won't I get caught? Won't people talk to each other and realize I'm two different people? First, people rarely talk about you as much as you think. Second, human beings are complex. It is not fake to be serious at work and wild at a party. That is range. The key is coherence, not consistency. Coherence means that whatever role you are playing, you play it fully. It makes sense in the context. If your boss sees you at a bar acting wild, you don't panic. You say, work hard, play hard, right? It fits the narrative. However, avoid mixing your audiences. Do not invite your conservative business partners to the same dinner as your degenerate party friends. That is sloppy. Keep your worlds compartmentalized. This protects the integrity of each mask.
The ultimate freedom. When you master the mirror and the mask, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You can walk into a room of billionaires and fit in. You can walk into a dive bar and fit in. You can talk to a professor or a criminal. You become a universal key. Most people are keys that only fit one lock. They spend their lives searching for that one door that matches their rigid personality. You are the skeleton key. You can open any door. This is the ultimate freedom. You are not defined by who you are. You are defined by what you can do. Stop trying to be authentic. Authenticity is for people who have nothing else to offer. Be effective. Be adaptive. Be the reflection they cannot look away from. Give them what they want, and they will give you everything you need. Chapter 6. The Art of Extraction. You have built the foundation. You have audited your circle. You have deposited favor currency. And you have mirrored your targets to build trust. You have a warehouse full of social capital. But capital that sits idle is useless. Money under a mattress loses value to inflation. Influence that is never used decays into irrelevance. Most people are terrified of this next step. They are master networkers, expert friends, and diligent people pleasers. But they starve to death in a room full of food because they are afraid to ask for a plate. They worry that if they ask for something, the illusion of friendship will shatter. This is the nice guy trap. You think that if you just wait long enough, people will magically guess what you need and hand it to you on a silver platter. They won't. People are self-absorbed. They are not psychic. Unless you interrupt their pattern and demand value, they will happily consume your time and energy forever without giving you a single crumb in return. Chapter 6 is about extraction. It is the mechanics of the ask. It is about converting good vibes into signed contracts, wire transfers, job offers, and tangible support. The psychology of the transaction. The first mental hurdle you must clear is the feeling that asking is taking. Reframe this immediately. Asking is completing the loop. Relationships are circuits. Energy must flow in both directions. If you only give, The circuit overheats and burns out. You get resentful. If you only take, the circuit breaks. They leave. By making an ask, you're actually testing the health of the relationship. You're giving the other person the opportunity to validate their status as an asset.
If they refuse a reasonable request after you have provided value, you have just gained valuable data. They are a liability. You can now liquidate them and stop wasting time. Therefore, the ask is a win-win. Either you get the resource or you get clarity. The architecture of the request. Amateurs ask vaguely. They hint. They hope. I'm kind of looking for a new job, so if you hear anything, let me know. This is weak. It places the mental burden on the target. Now they have to figure out what you want, remember it, and scan the world for you. They won't do it. It's too much work. The scalper makes surgical requests. A surgical request has 3 components. Clarity, exactly what do you want? Justification, why them and why now? Ease, how can they deliver it with 0 friction? Compare the amateur ask to the scalper ask. I am looking to pivot into fintech. I know you have a strong relationship with the VP at Stripe. I am sending you a 1-paragraph blurb about my work. Can you forward that to him this Tuesday? Analyze this. Clarity. Forward this blurb. Not, help me get a job. Justification. You have a strong relationship. You are stroking their ego. Ease. I am sending you the blurb. You have done the work. All they have to do is hit forward. When you remove the friction, you increase the conversion rate. People want to help, but they are lazy. If you do the heavy lifting, they will take the credit for being the connector. The power of the because. In a famous study by psychologist Ellen Langer, researchers asked people waiting for a photocopier if they could cut in line. When they said, "Can I use the Xerox machine?" 60% said yes. When they said, "Can I use the Xerox machine because I have to make copies?" 93% said yes. Because I have to make copies is a nonsense reason. Everyone is there to make copies. But the word because triggers a compliance reflex in the brain. It signals that there's a reason. When you make an ask, always attach a because. I need you to introduce me to John because our projects are perfectly aligned right now. I need to borrow your truck this weekend because the logistics are tight. It doesn't even have to be a profound reason. The structure of the sentence itself adds weight. It sounds authoritative. It sounds necessary. The presumptive close. Salespeople know that if you ask yes or no questions, you give the client an easy out. Do you have time to meet? No. Can you help me? I'm busy. The scalper uses the presumptive close. You speak as if the agreement has already happened. You are discussing the logistics of the yes, not the possibility of the no. Instead of, "Would you be willing to write me a recommendation?" Try, "I'm putting together my portfolio and your perspective would be the anchor. I'll draft a few bullet points for you to review so it doesn't take much of your time. When is the best time to send that over?" Notice the shift. You aren't asking if they will do it. You are asking when they want to receive the draft. You have moved the conversation past the decision point. To say no now, they have to actively stop the train. Most people are too passive to stop a moving train. They will just go along with the ride. The illusion of choice. If you must ask a question, never ask a binary yes-no question. Ask a choice of yes question. Are you free for coffee to discuss this? Is bad. Does Tuesday at 10 a.m. or Thursday at 2 p.m. work better for you? Is elite. This is the double bind. Both options lead to the result you want, the meeting. You have given them autonomy. Humans love to feel like they are choosing, but you have rigged the menu. They will focus their mental energy on comparing Tuesday versus Thursday rather than debating whether they want to meet you at all. Silence, the heavy hammer. The most powerful tool in extraction is not a word. It is the absence of words. After you make your ask, shut up. I need a raise to 80K. My performance data supports it. Silence.
Most people panic in the silence. They feel the tension and they rush to fill it. They start backtracking. I mean, if 80K is too much, I could do 75K. You just negotiated against yourself. You just lost money. The scalper drops the ask and waits. The silence is a vacuum. The other person feels immense pressure to fill it. If you hold your ground, they will often break first. Well, 80K is tight, but let me see what I can do. Whoever speaks first after the ask loses leverage. Be comfortable with the awkwardness. The awkwardness is the sound of you winning. Scalping the no, the pivot. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, they will say no. I can't introduce you to him. It's too risky for me. I can't loan you the money.
The amateur retreats and apologizes. Oh, okay, sorry to bother you. The scalper performs a pivot. In negotiation theory, this is called the door-in-the-face technique. You make a large request, they refuse, and you immediately follow up with a smaller, secondary request. Because they feel bad about saying no to the first one, guilt, they are statistically much more likely to say yes to the second one as a consolation prize. The ask, can you invest $10,000 in my startup? The no, I can't right now, liquidity is tight. The pivot, I understand completely. In that case, can I just get 20 minutes of your time to get your feedback on the pitch deck? Your advice is worth more than the cash anyway. They will almost always say yes. And guess what? Once you have them in the room for 20 minutes, the reverse scalp, you have another shot at the money or at their network. Never leave an interaction empty-handed. If you can't get the gold, take the silver. If you can't get the silver, take the copper. If they deny the introduction, ask for advice. If they deny advice, ask for a resource. Always extract something. The Columbo method. There is a final, darker art to extraction. It is playing dumb to extract information. Named after the TV detective, this involves acting confused or less intelligent than you are to get the other person to lower their guard and reveal secrets. Information is the most valuable commodity. If you want to know a competitor's strategy, or a friend's true salary, or why you weren't invited to a party, do not interrogate. Instead, make a wrong statement. I heard that project was a disaster. Probably lost money, right?
People have a burning desire to correct others. They want to be the one in the know. No, actually it made a 20% profit. The issue was the vendor. Boom. They just gave you the proprietary data. You played the fool, and they paid you in truth. The moral firewall. As you begin to extract, you might feel that old itch of guilt returning. Am I manipulating them? Look at the nature of the exchange. If you used the because technique to cut in line, did anyone die? No. If you used the presumptive close to get a recommendation letter, did you harm the writer? No. You actually helped them by writing the draft yourself. You are simply navigating human operating systems efficiently. You are not stealing. You are unlocking. Most people are walking around with pockets full of opportunities they will never use. They have contacts they don't call. They have money they don't invest. They have knowledge they don't share. By extracting it, you are putting those resources to work. You are the catalyst. The lifestyle of the ask. The art of extraction is not a one-time event. It is a habit. You must train yourself to be constantly scanning for the ask. When you are having coffee with an asset, who is the most interesting person you met this month? Can I meet them? When you are finishing a project, who else needs to see this? It should become as natural as breathing. Inhale value. Learn, listen, observe. Exhale requests. Ask, direct, leverage. If you are not hearing the word no at least once a week, you are not asking enough. No is not a failure. It is a sign that you are testing the limits of your system.
If you only get yes, you are asking for too little. Start today. Pick one asset. Identify one thing they have that you need. Craft the surgical ask. Remove the friction. Use the because. Presume the close. Then, wait in the silence. Watch what happens. The world is waiting to give you what you want. It just needs you to tell it what to do. Chapter 7. The Clean Exit. In the stock market, you do not make money when you buy. You make money when you sell. You can pick the perfect stock, watch it rise, and feel like a genius. But if you hold it too long, if you ride it all the way back down to the bottom because you fell in love with it, you lose everything. The art of scalping is the art of the exit. It is knowing exactly when the value has been extracted and having the discipline to close the position. In your social life, you are likely hoarding expired relationships. You are still having coffee with people who haven't inspired you since 2015. You are still answering calls from people who only bring you stress. You are dragging a parachute behind you, wondering why you can't run faster. You stay because you are afraid of the mess. You think that ending a relationship requires a breakup, a fight, or a dramatic conversation. It doesn't. An operator does not create explosions. An operator creates distance. Chapter 7 is about the clean exit. It is how to remove yourself from a dynamic without creating an enemy, without triggering drama, and without leaving fingerprints. The philosophy of seasons. First, you must kill the Disney idea that relationships are meant to be forever. Nothing in nature is forever. Cells die and regenerate. Seasons change.
People are not designed to be permanent fixtures in your life. They are cast members for specific scenes in your movie. Some are for the college scene, some are for the startup grind scene, some are for the party scene. When the scene ends, the cast must change. Keeping a party scene friend in your serious business scene is a casting error. It makes the movie unwatchable. It creates incoherence. When you accept that relationships have expiration dates, you stop feeling guilty about the end. You don't mourn the sunset, you just prepare for the night. The mechanics of the fade. The most effective tool for the clean exit is the fade. This is not ghosting. Ghosting is for cowards and amateurs. Ghosting, suddenly cutting all contact, creates confusion and anger. It creates a vendetta. The person will hunt you down, demanding answers. They will trash your reputation. The fade is a gradual, imperceptible reduction in availability. It is boiling the frog. The frog doesn't know it's being cooked until it's too late. Step 1. Increase latency. Start by delaying your response time. If you usually text back in 10 minutes, wait 4 hours. Then wait a day. Then 2 days. You are retraining their dopamine loop. They are used to an instant reward from you. You are turning off the tap slowly. You are signaling without words that you are low priority. Step 2. The benevolent busy. When you do reply, you are never ignoring them, you are simply crushed by work. Hey, so good to hear from you. I am absolutely buried in this new project right now, literally sleeping at the office. I'll come up for air eventually, but I'm off the grid for a bit.
This is the perfect excuse. Nobody can be mad at you for working hard. In fact, it raises your status. It makes you look important, focused, and ambitious. You aren't rejecting them, which hurts their ego. You are choosing your mission, which they have to respect. Step 3. The conversion to digital. Stop agreeing to physical meetups. Physical presence is the most expensive resource. Downgrade them to phone calls, then downgrade them to texts, then downgrade them to social media likes. You can maintain a friendship with a like button for 10 years without ever speaking a word. That is a low-maintenance holding pattern. The bridge concept. Why do we avoid the explosion? Why not just tell them to get lost? Because you never burn a bridge unless you are crossing it while being chased by zombies. You do not know where you will be in 5 years. The person you consider useless today might marry a CEO, win the lottery, or become a gatekeeper to an industry you need to enter. If you told them they were a loser and cut them off, that door is welded shut. If you simply faded them, the door is still unlocked. This is the boomerang potential. By leaving on vague, "I'm just so busy" terms, you preserve the option to re-enter their life later. "Hey, it's been years. Things finally slow down with work. How have you been?" Because there was no fight, they will likely welcome you back. You have preserved the asset while eliminating the maintenance cost. Handling the confronter. Occasionally, a liability will realize what you are doing. They will confront you. Are you avoiding me? I feel like we never hang out anymore. Do not apologize and do not admit the strategy.
Gaslight them gently with the validation pivot. No way. I've just been in the trenches with this business or project. I actually miss our hangouts. Life is just crazy right now. But honestly, seeing your updates on Instagram makes me happy. It looks like you're doing great. Deny the malice. No way. Reiterate the mission. In the trenches. Throw them a scrap of validation. It looks like you're doing great. They will leave the conversation thinking, okay, he still likes me. He's just busy. You have bought yourself another 6 months of silence. The hard cut. The amputation. There is one exception to the fade. If the person is toxic, if they are dangerous, criminal, or actively sabotaging your reputation, you cannot fade a tumor. You must cut it out. In this case, you do not use benevolent busy. You use the wall. Block the number, block the socials, email filter to trash. And here is the most important part. Do not explain. Explanations are fuel for toxic people. If you write a long letter explaining why you are leaving, they will dissect it, argue with it, and use it to paint themselves as the victim. Look at this mean text he sent me. Silence is unassailable. If you disappear completely, they have nothing to work with. They will scream into the void for a week, get bored, and move on to a new victim. Do not check up on them. Do not ask mutual friends about them. Dead is dead. The reputation management. When you exit a circle, the narrative is vulnerable. People will talk. Why doesn't X come around anymore? You must seed the narrative before you leave.
Tell the key influencers, the noise who talk the most, that you're about to go into a deep focus mode for the next 6 months. I'm really trying to level up my income, fitness, mindset. When you vanish, the story isn't, he hates us. The story is, he's on his grind. When you eventually reemerge, or don't, you are the mysterious operator who went away to build an empire. You become a legend rather than an outcast. Leaving the job/client, the clean exit, applies to business too. Never quit in a rage. Fuck you, I quit. Feels good for 10 seconds and costs you 10 years of references. The Scalper's Resignation is a masterpiece of fiction. I have loved my time here. I have learned so much from you. However, an opportunity has come up that aligns perfectly with my long-term goals, and I have to pursue it. You praise them on the way out, you offer to help with the transition, you scalp the reference letter. Make them feel like they launched you. I couldn't have gotten this new role without the mentorship I got here, even if they were terrible mentors. By feeding their ego one last time, you secure a glowing review that will help you land the next, bigger target. You are cashing out your chips. Don't flip the table. The vacuum effect. The hardest part of the clean exit is the silence that follows. When you cut off the liabilities and the time wasters, your phone will stop buzzing. Your weekends will be empty. You will feel a phantom limb pain. You will feel lonely. Do not fill this space with trash. This is the vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you hold the space open, something new will enter. But if you panic and fill it back up with the same low-quality people, you remain stuck in the cycle. Sit in the emptiness. The emptiness is where the work gets done. The emptiness is where the strategy is built. You are renovating your house. You have thrown out the old, broken furniture. Do not drag it back in from the curb just because the living room looks bare. Wait for the delivery of the new, high-value furniture. It is coming. Chapter 8. Defensive Dynamics. By now, you are feeling powerful. You have the tools to navigate the social landscape, extract value, and exit cleanly. You feel like the predator in a world of prey. But here is the cold reality check. You are not the only shark in the water. You are not the only one who understands these dynamics. There are others, natural-born sociopaths, trained corporate climbers, and intuitive manipulators who are hunting for the same resources you are.
To them, you are the resource. To them, you are the asset to be scalped. If you walk around with the arrogance of a newly minted operator, you will be eaten alive by the veterans. Chapter 8 is about defense. It is about counterintelligence. It is about how to spot a scalper before they bleed you dry and how to reverse the dynamic to take their energy without giving up your own. The radar, spotting the shiny people. How do you spot a social scalper? They are perfect. Too perfect. Normal humans are messy. They have bad days. They are occasionally awkward. They have controversial opinions. The scalper is shiny. They are frictionless. They agree with everything you say. Mirroring. They laugh at all your jokes. Validation.
They seem to have no needs of their own, only a burning desire to help you. If you meet someone and within 20 minutes you think, this is the best person I've ever met, check your wallet. Check your emotional keys. You are being hacked. The most dangerous person is the one who figures out your hunger from Chapter 5 faster than you do. If you are insecure about your intelligence, they will make you feel like a genius. If you are lonely, they will become your instant best friend. They are love-bombing you to lower the drawbridge so they can march their army in. Defense Mechanism 1. The Flattery Shield. Flattery is a stun grenade. It is designed to blind you with dopamine so you can't see the knife coming. When someone heaps praise on you, you are so talented, you are the only one who can do this. Your brain wants to believe them. You want to reciprocate. You want to give them whatever they ask for because they made you feel good. You must develop compliment immunity. When someone flatters you, do not blush. Do not say, oh, you're too kind. Instead, use the agree and amplify technique. Scalper says, you are the smartest guy in this department, honestly. You say, I know, it's a burden. What do you need? By agreeing, you strip the compliment of its power. You signal, I already know my value. Your praise is not a currency I accept. Get to the point. This shocks them. It breaks their rhythm. They realize their stun grenade didn't go off. Now they have to deal with you on a logical level where you have the advantage. Defense Mechanism 2, the Trojan Horse. We discussed using loss leaders or gifts to create debt. Now, you must learn to defend against them. Beware the unsolicited favor. If a colleague you barely know brings you coffee or offers to connect you with a high-level lead, pause. Why? Why are they investing in you? If you accept the gift, you accept the debt. To defend yourself, you must become a transaction zeroist. You must settle the debt immediately or refuse the shipment. Option A, the refusal. That's incredibly generous, but I can't accept that right now. I have a strict policy on X. You blame the policy. It makes it impersonal. You aren't rejecting them, you are following a rule. Option B, the instant settlement. If they buy you dinner, you buy the drinks immediately. I got the dinner, they say. I'm getting the Uber and the drinks, you reply. You do not let the sun go down on a debt. You keep the ledger at 0. If the ledger is 0, they have no leverage. Defense Mechanism 3, weaponized urgency. Manipulators love speed. I need an answer by tonight. This deal expires in an hour. If you don't help me now, it's all over. Urgency is designed to bypass your prefrontal cortex, logic, and trigger your amygdala, fear. If you're panicked, you cannot calculate the ROI. You will make a bad deal. Your defense is radical slowness. When someone speeds up, you slow down. Scalper, I need you to sign this now. You? If you need an answer now, the answer is no. If you can wait until Tuesday, the answer is maybe. This is the ultimate power move. You are setting the tempo. If the opportunity is real, it will wait. Real value does not expire in 10 minutes.
If it is a scam or a bad deal, they will panic and leave when you refuse to rush. Never let anyone dictate the clock. The person who controls the time controls the outcome. Defense mechanism 4, the gray rock method. What if you can't escape? What if the scalper is your boss or a family member you can't cut off? You become a gray rock. A gray rock is the most boring object in nature. It has no color. It has no shine. It offers no reaction. The emotional vampire wants a reaction. They want drama. They want you to get angry or sad or excited. That is their food. When they try to provoke you, give them nothing. You're incompetent, the toxic boss says. Okay, you reply. Flat tone, no eye contact. I can't believe you did that, the dramatic friend screams. I hear you, you reply. Monotone. You answer with one-word sentences. Yes, no, maybe. You become unscalpable because you offer no surface area to grab onto. Eventually, they will get bored. They will look for a victim who screams when poked. You are just a rock. They will move on. The Aikido reversal, scalping the scalper. Now for the advanced class. Once you spot a scalper, you don't have to just defend. You can reverse the flow of energy. You can use their manipulation against them. This is social Aikido. The scalper wants to use you. They are willing to invest in you, flattery, favors, to get a return. Let them invest. Take the favors, take the praise, take the dinners, but, and this is critical, never deliver the return. Play the role of the well-meaning incompetent. They buy you dinner to get industry secrets. You eat the steak, smile, and then say, I'm so out of the loop lately, I really don't know what's going on. They introduce you to a client, hoping for a kickback. You take the client, close the deal, and then forget to give the credit. Oh man, I totally forgot to loop you in. Next time for sure. This sounds ruthless. It is. But remember, they were trying to use you. They entered the ring. They tried to hustle you. You just hustled them better. You are simply accepting their loss leaders as donations. If a wolf tries to eat you, and you end up wearing its fur as a coat, that is not cruelty. That is nature. The information diet. The greatest vulnerability you have is your mouth. Information is leverage. The more someone knows about your finances, your marriage, your fears, and your plans, the more angles they have to scalp you. If a rival knows you are broke, they can lowball you. If they know you are lonely, they can seduce you. You must put the world on an information diet. Practice the art of talking without speaking. You can talk for an hour and say absolutely nothing of substance. Talk about sports. Talk about the weather. Talk about abstract concepts. But keep the kernel, the data of your life, locked in the vault. When someone probes, "So how much are you making these days?" do not answer. Deflect with a question. "Enough to pay the bills? Why, are you looking to hire me?" Turn the spotlight back on them. The person asking the questions holds the power. The person answering is the witness. Always be the lawyer, never the witness. You need a similar test for new entrants. Call it the shower thought test. When you are in the shower or driving and your mind wanders to this new person, how does it feel? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel like you need to prepare to see them? Do you feel like you are rehearsing conversations? That is your subconscious warning you. Your subconscious picks up on microexpressions and tonal shifts that your conscious brain misses. If you feel off about someone, even if they have done nothing wrong on paper, trust the signal. In the wild, if a deer hears a twig snap, it doesn't wait to see the tiger, it runs. If you wait for proof that someone is a snake, you have waited too long. You have already been bitten. Preemptive distancing is the hallmark of the operator, the circle of silence. Finally, the best defense is obscurity. The louder you are, the more targets you paint on your back. If you flash your money, you attract scammers. If you flash your happiness, you attract misery lovers who want to destroy it. Live quietly, win silently. The less people know about your wins, the safer those wins are. Build a fortress of privacy. Let people speculate. Let them wonder. But never let them see the blueprints. Chapter 9. The Fortress of Indifference. You have learned to extract value. You have learned to defend your perimeter. You have learned to categorize souls and manipulate dynamics. But there is one final shackle holding you back. It is the heaviest shackle of all. It is the one that wakes you up at 3 a.m., sweating, replanting a conversation from 5 years ago. It is the addiction to the good opinion of others. You are terrified of being misunderstood.
You are terrified of being judged. You are terrified of the whisper campaign. You want to be the operator, but you also want to be the good guy. You cannot be both. If you are going to live a life of high-stakes extraction and unapologetic ambition, you are going to upset people. You are going to break eggs. And if you weep every time an egg breaks, you will starve in the kitchen. Chapter 9 is about building the fortress of indifference. This is the psychological architecture that makes you immune to praise and impervious to blame. It is the state of being where the applause of the crowd and the booing of the crowd sound exactly the same, like noise, the slavery of they. What will they think? Who is they? They is a phantom. They is a composite monster you created in your own mind, stitched together from the judgmental eyes of your parents, your high school bullies, and your jealous coworkers. They does not exist. When you walk into a room, you imagine a spotlight is on you. You think everyone is analyzing your outfit, your posture, and your words. This is the spotlight effect. The reality? Nobody is watching you. Everyone is watching themselves. They are worried about their own spotlight. They are too busy adjusting their own masks to notice yours. And even if they are judging you, let's play that out. Let's say you ruthlessly cut a liability from your life, and they go on Facebook and write a vague, passive-aggressive status about fake friends. Let's say the noise in your circle gossips about it. Did you hear what he did? That's so cold. So what? Does that gossip lower your credit score? Does it physically wound you? Does it stop the sun from rising? No, it is air vibrating in a room you aren't even in. The only power it has is the power you give it. If you react, you give it mass. If you ignore it, it remains a ghost. The construction of the fortress. You must view your mind as a citadel. In a citadel, there are high walls. There is a gate, and there is a gatekeeper. Most people have no walls. Their windows are open. Any random passerby can throw a rock, an insult, or a flower, a compliment, right into their living room. Their emotional state is entirely dependent on what gets thrown in that day. If someone insults them, they are ruined. If someone praises them, they are high. They are puppets. The social scalper builds a wall. The wall is made of data, not drama. When a criticism comes your way, it hits the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper asks one question: is this actionable data from a qualified source? Scenario A, in Asset, a mentor, a trusted partner, tells you you were arrogant in that meeting and you lost the deal. Gatekeeper analysis. Source is qualified. Asset. Data is actionable. I lost money. Action. Open the gate. Let the criticism in. Analyze it. Fix the behavior. This is not an injury. It is a software update. Scenario B, a liability. A jealous friend, an internet troll, tells you you think you're better than everyone else now. Gatekeeper analysis. Source is unqualified. Liability. Data is emotional projection. Drama. Action. Keep the gate shut. The rock bounces off the wall. You do not feel anger. You do not feel sadness. You feel nothing. It is just wind against stone. This is selective permeability. You are not closing yourself off from growth. You are closing yourself off from pollution. The immunity to shame. Shame is the primary weapon of the herd. The herd hates the individual. The herd wants everyone to be average, because average is safe. When you try to rise above the average, when you start scalping value, when you start setting boundaries, when you start winning, the herd gets nervous. They want to pull you back down. They cannot use force, so they use shame. You've changed. You're so selfish. Who do you think you are? These phrases are designed to trigger your social survival instinct. They are hacking your biology. To defeat this, you must understand the source of shame. Shame only works if you agree with the accuser. If someone calls you a purple elephant, you don't feel shame. You laugh. You know you are not a purple elephant. The accusation has no hook to latch onto. If someone calls you selfish and you feel a sting, it is because a part of you believes it is wrong to be selfish. You are agreeing with their moral framework. You must rewrite your moral framework. In the operator's framework, selfish means focused. Arrogant means confident. Cold means efficient. When you change the dictionary, the insults lose their power. When they say, "You're using people," you don't shrink. You think, "Yes, I am optimizing my network. Thank you for noticing my competence." You don't say this out loud. That creates unnecessary friction. But you smile internally. You refuse to accept the shame packet they are trying to hand you. The power of being disliked. There is a freedom in being disliked that is sweeter than any popularity. When you are popular, you are a slave. You have to maintain the image. You have to keep smiling. You are terrified of making a mistake. When you are disliked, you are free. The expectations are gone. You can do whatever you want. Look at the people who changed the world. Look at the billionaires, the generals, the disruptors. Are they universally liked? No. They are polarized. Half the world worships them, half the world hates them. They do not care. They understand that hate is a byproduct of impact. If you are not generating any hate, you are not doing anything important. You are a gray rock, which is useful for defense, but not for offense. To build an empire, you must be willing to be the villain in someone else's story. Accept this now. To your ex-partner, you are the villain. To the friend you outgrew, you are the villain. To the coworker you got promoted over, you are the villain. Good. Villains have agency. Villains make things happen. Victims just have things happen to them. Wear the label, own the role. It is better to be a respected villain than a pitied victim. The 10-year test. Here is a practical tool to strengthen your indifference. It is the 10-year test. When you are spiraling about a social interaction, maybe you said something awkward or you rejected a request and feel guilty. Zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? Will you remember this awkward silence in 2035? No. Will this person even be in your life in 2035? Probably not. Will the fact that you saved $500 by not going to that wedding matter in 2035? Yes, because that $500 compounded is part of your freedom fund. Most of the social disasters we fear are blips. They are dust motes. We treat them like asteroids. The fortress of indifference gives you the perspective of the telescope. You see the galaxy, not just the dust on the lens. The trap of praise. We have talked about blocking criticism, but the fortress must also block praise. This sounds counterintuitive. Everyone wants praise. But praise is the same poison as criticism. It is just a different flavor. If you let praise in, if you need their applause to feel good, then you also have to let their criticism in. You cannot have one without the other. If you live by the sword of validation, you die by the sword of rejection. When someone tells you, "You are amazing," the gatekeeper must treat it with the same skepticism as an insult. "Thank you," you say, but you do not inhale it. You do not let it inflate your ego, because if you get high on their praise, you will start dancing for them. You will start doing things just to get another hit of that drug. You become a performer,
not an operator. Your self-worth must be internally generated. It must come from your own scorecard. Did I execute the plan? Yes. Did I follow my code? Yes. Then I am good. It does not matter if the world boos or cheers. The scorecard is internal, the sound of silence. As you build this fortress, something strange will happen. The world will get quieter. The frantic noise of social anxiety will fade. The desperate need to check your notifications will vanish. You will walk down the street and feel a profound, heavy sense of calm. This is the calm of sovereignty. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind of other people's opinions. You are the tree.
The wind blows, the branches sway, but the roots do not move. People will sense this. Paradoxically, the less you care about what people think, the more they will be drawn to you. Desperation smells like sweat. Indifference smells like power. People want to be around the fortress. They want to be inside the walls. They feel safe around someone who cannot be rattled. By not caring, you become the most attractive person in the room. The daily exercise. The micro-rejection. You cannot build the fortress by reading. You must build it by training. You need to callous your mind against rejection. I want you to seek out one micro-rejection this week. Go to a coffee shop and ask for 10% discount for no reason. Can I get 10% off? The barista will look at you weird. They will say no. It will be awkward. Your heart will race. You will feel the heat of shame. Good. Sit in that heat. Don't apologize. Just say, okay, thanks anyway, and pay. Walk away and realize, I didn't die. The sky didn't fall. The awkwardness lasted 10 seconds and then it evaporated. Do this again and again. Ask for things you can't have. Propose ideas that will be shot down. Desensitize yourself to the word no. Desensitize yourself to the weird looks. Once you no longer fear the awkwardness, you are invincible. You can ask for anything. Chapter 6. Because you do not fear the consequence of refusal. The view from the tower. Climb to the top of your fortress. Look down at the world below. See the masses running around, frantic, chasing likes, begging for approval, apologizing for their own existence. See them trading their dreams for the comfort of the herd.
You are not down there anymore. It is lonely up here. Yes, the air is thinner, but the view is infinite. You have separated yourself from the biological imperative to please. You have hacked the source code of your own psychology. You are ready for the final stage. You are ready to stop just taking from the world and start commanding it. You are ready to become the apex. Chapter 10. The Apex Operator. We have arrived at the summit. For the last 9 chapters, we have been down in the trenches. We have discussed the mechanics of the hustle. We have talked about how to mirror, how to ask, how to fade, and how to defend. We have treated social interaction like a knife fight, a series of tactical moves to secure resources and protect your neck. But staying in the knife fight forever is exhausting. You do not want to spend the rest of your life scraping for favors or dodging emotional vampires. You do not want to be a hustler forever. You want to be the king. This final chapter is about the metamorphosis. It is about the shift from social scalping, taking value from the market, to social sovereignty, becoming the market. This is the level of the apex operator. The apex does not chase, the apex attracts. The apex does not need to manipulate people into helping. People fight for the privilege of helping the apex. The apex does not worry about the guilt tax because the apex understands a fundamental truth. The world craves leadership, and by using people effectively, you are giving them the purpose they are too weak to create for themselves. The shift from hunter to son. You go out, you track a target, an asset, and you extract value and bring it home. It is active, it is caloric. The apex is not a hunter. The apex is the sun. The sun does not hunt the planets.
The sun does not beg the Earth to orbit it. The sun simply exists. It has massive gravity. It burns with such intensity and purpose that the planets must orbit it. They have no choice. The laws of physics dictate it. How do you become the apex? You become the source of vision. Most people are drifting. They are floating through life with no goals, no plan, and no map. They are terrified of the void. When they meet someone who is absolutely certain of where they are going, someone who is burning with mission, they latch on. They want to be part of that gravity. When you say, "I am building this empire," or "I am changing this industry," you are not just bragging. You are offering them a ride. They will offer you their time, their money, and their connections, not because you tricked them, but because they want to be close to the heat. They want to say, "I was there when he built it." Your use of them becomes a transaction of glory. You take their labor, they get your proximity. To the apex, this is a fair trade, the ecosystem of the apex. You are no longer managing a portfolio of friends. You are managing an ecosystem. In nature, an ecosystem has a hierarchy. The apex, you. The visionary, the decision-maker. The lieutenants, your top-tier assets, the executors. These are the people you trust with the keys. You feed them well, you make them rich, you give them credit. They protect your flank.
The foot soldiers, the people who execute specific tasks. They are useful but replaceable. You treat them with respect, but you do not let them into the inner sanctum. The resources, the network, the money, the data. The apex operator understands that his primary job is not to do the work, but to maintain the balance of the ecosystem. You ensure the lieutenants are happy, you ensure the foot soldiers are directed, you ensure the resources are flowing. You stop thinking, "How can I get this person to do me a favor?" You start thinking, "Where does this person fit in my machine?" If they don't fit, you don't scalp them for a free coffee. You discard them. You are too big for petty theft. You are building infrastructure. The benevolent dictator. To run this ecosystem, you must embrace a role that society tells you to hate. The dictator. Not a tyrant who hurts people for fun, a benevolent dictator. Democracy is inefficient for personal success. If you take a vote every time you want to make a move in your life, you will never move. You will be paralyzed by the conflicting opinions of the noise. In your life, you are the autocrat. Your word is law. You decide where the group goes for dinner. You decide what the business strategy is. You decide who gets cut from the team. Paradoxically, people love this. We live in a world of decision fatigue. People are tired of choosing. They are tired of being asked, "What do you want to do?" When you step up and say, "We're doing this. Be here at 8 p.m., wear black." They feel relief. They feel safe. He has a plan. By taking total control, you remove their anxiety.
You are carrying the mental load. In exchange for carrying that load, you get to eat first. You get the biggest share. And they will happily give it to you because you are the one steering the ship through the storm. The ethics of mastery. At this level, the question of, "Is this wrong?" disappears completely. It is replaced by, "Is this effective?" You realize that using people is actually the highest form of respect. To leave someone unused, to let their talent rot, to let their energy dissipate, is a waste. By plugging them into your machine, you are actualizing their potential. The employee who works 80 hours for you to build your dream, he is getting a salary, yes, but he is also getting a masterclass in ambition. He is becoming sharper because you demand excellence. The partner who supports your stress, they are getting a life of adventure and status that they could not have achieved alone. You are not a parasite. A parasite weakens the host. You are a symbiote. You make the host stronger even as you feed on it. The apex operator leaves everyone better than they found them.
even if they use them to get to the top. The 3 laws of the apex. To maintain this altitude, you must live by 3 unbreakable laws. Law 1. Never complain. Complaining is a signal of powerlessness. If you complain about the weather, the economy, or a betrayal, you are admitting that you are a victim of circumstance. The apex never complains. The apex adjusts. If it rains, you buy an umbrella company. If an employee steals, you fire him and improve security. You absorb the chaos and output order. Your silence in the face of adversity is what makes you terrifying and magnetic.
Law 2. Never explain. We touched on this in Chapter 7, but it becomes a religion here. Explanations are for subordinates. When you make a decision, you state it. You do not justify it. I am moving to New York. Why? Because it is time. That is it. When you explain, you are inviting a debate. You are lowering your status to the level of the questioner. Hold the high ground. Let them speculate. Their speculation only adds to your myth. Law 3. Never restrain. Most people leave life with the parking brake on. They are afraid of being too much, too ambitious, too loud, too aggressive. The apex cuts the brake line. If you are going to use people, use them fully. If you are going to ask for a favor, ask for the biggest one possible. If you are going to love, love ferociously. If you are going to cut someone off, make them disappear. Half measures are the death of the operator. Subtlety is useful for the scalper, but intensity is the currency of the apex. The legacy of the operator. Finally, we must look at the end game. What is the point of all this? Why scalp? Why build? Why conquer? It is not just for money. Money is just fuel. It is for agency. The vast majority of the human race lives and dies without ever making a real choice. They follow the script written by their parents, their teachers, and their government. They're extras in a movie they haven't even seen. You have chosen to seize the pen. By mastering social scalping, you have hacked the system. You have realized that the rules of society are not walls, they are suggestions. They are traffic cones.
You can drive right over them if you have a big enough truck. You are building a life where you determine the outcome, where you are surrounded only by assets who fuel you, where you are immune to the guilt tax, where you extract every ounce of sweetness from the fruit of life and leave nothing on the table. This is the only way to honor the gift of existence, to play the game at the highest level. The final charge. The book is finished. The knowledge is transferred. But knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential. Action is power. You can turn off this audiobook and go back to being a nice, polite, guilty little citizen. You can go back to letting people drain your energy. You can go back to waiting for permission. Or you can stand up. You can look at your phone right now and identify one liability to cut. You can identify one asset to call. You can make one ask that scares you. The world is soft. It is waiting for someone to mold it. It is waiting for you. Put on the mask, open the ledger, start the engine. Stop apologizing for your hunger. Go out there and eat. Outro. You have just completed Social Scalping, how to use people without guilt. You are now armed with the tools of the operator. You have the blueprint. The rest is up to you. We are building a community of apex operators here at the Premier Audiobooks. If this philosophy resonated with you, if you were ready to stop being prey and start being the predator, you know what to do. Like this video. It tells the algorithm that we are here. Subscribe to the channel.
It ensures you don't miss the next briefing. And share this with the one person in your life who is actually an asset. The one person who gets it. Don't share it with the noise. Keep the circle tight. This is the Premier Audiobooks, signing off. The market is open. Go collect what is yours.